Okay, well, hi everyone, and thank you very much for watching or listening. Liam Hartree here today with another episode of Presenting Champions for the Simply Inspired podcast. Today, joined by professional MMA fighter Matthew Camilleri. Hopefully, I'm saying that the right way. This man is a professional MMA fighter from Malta, currently based in the UK, the reigning FCC European featherweight champion as well. Been in there with some great names. Now, he's already achieved a lot in his career, but at the same time, I'm very blessed to have this man on the show because I believe the best is yet to come, and I believe that we're looking at a future star of the sport right here today. So, as always, we'll be talking about sports, but we'll be going a little bit deeper into mindset and a little bit of the strength and mental and physical conditioning it takes to reach such a high level in one of the toughest and most skilled sports on earth, mixed martial arts. So, Champ, thank you very much for coming on the show, as I've said, and thank you very much for taking time out of your busy training schedule to make this happen, basically.
Oh, thank you so much for having me on the show. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, likewise, absolute pleasure. So, I know it's not exactly starting from the beginning, but just starting with the present day, for a moment, you have an upcoming fight, September 29th, I believe. Can you share with us a little bit about how the preparations are going for that and how you're feeling on the build up to that, please?
Oh, yeah, I have a fight with Adam Shelley, September 29th on Cage Warriors in Manchester. Preparation's been doing well. Always been training, always been active. Competed a few weeks ago on a grappling comps and did well as well. So keeping myself active. Um, it's not gonna be different from all the other fights. He's a good fighter, but I see the same way this fight is gonna go is the same way, or even better, I'd say, my way.
Absolutely, 110%. It's a great opportunity as well. Now, I know obviously it's always good to take things one fight at a time. So I know that you're probably not going to be looking past this at any point, but just touching on that for a moment. Assuming you get the win with this one, what are you aiming for next after that? I don't mind how far forward in the future we want to go, but I'd just like to get a feel for your future dreams, your future plans, because as I said at the beginning, the future is looking very bright for you, you know?
Yeah. To be honest, after this fight, obviously because it's a new division for me, it's the lightweight division. I don't know much like I used to know about the featherweight division because the featherweight division I literally checked everyone in there when I was feather. Now I'm lightweight, so for me it's a bit an uncharted territory. And obviously I know who the champion is. Um, so for me it's not much of a plan unless obviously I want to fight again on the November card in the UK. I want to fight at least twice this year. I don't want to fight once. So with two wins in the lightweight division, I want to establish myself as a top contender as well in the lightweight division, and hopefully I'll try to one day maybe try to go back to feather if my body allows it. Obviously, training is easy, always hard for me, so it's always going hard. So it's not a it's not a problem with training. It's like if my body will let me go to featherweight division. If I'll go to featherweight division, I want to reclaim my position over there and take that belt, and then maybe go for the lightweight belt, or vice versa. I go for the lightweight belt and then want to go try to go that featherweight belt. Then after that, I want to go to the either UFC or whoever wants to get in, and yeah, but I want them. I want one of the belts first, and then maybe if I'm able to move weights, if my body allows it, but if not, I'll just keep that belt, defend it, and then get the call. Obviously, usually for who wants to get me first.
100%. See, there you go. I knew there was some big dreams, some big plans in there. Absolutely. As I said at the beginning, I do mean that sincerely as well. What I said about you, becoming like a future star of the sport and rising up the rankings and everything. I mean, nothing's ever guaranteed in a fight game, but you have everything, together for that. So I'm not just, talking, shit, basically. I mean it, But anyway, with that aside, now also we need to look back because as well as the future, you've already achieved some amazing things. Now, as I mentioned to you when I sent you the setup for this and everything, I do a lot of these interviews to inspire people, motivate people, that type of thing as well. So one of the things I would like to touch on is actually going back in time, so going the other way. If you look into the future, looking into the past, and actually go back to your career beginnings and where you started as a fighter. And we're going to talk about this from the inspirational point of view. So in the very beginning, I mean, I've seen a lot of your fights and followed that, but where did it actually start for you? Did you start with grappling? Did you start with MMA? What was the very beginning inspiration for you?
Well, the first thing I started actually was MMA, and then but it was grappling based. So then I transitioned after 8 months, I think. Yeah, I think after 8 months or seven, I transitioned as well into grappling with gi and no gi. And then after a few more months, I went to wrestle as well. So I was incorporating those three together, added boxing with it. So they were like my main things, but mostly it's from MMA to grappling and wrestling, which is always was my main thing, grapple and wrestle. Especially those were even in my MMA thing, my MMA training. I always used to focus on those areas because I knew, especially at that time, was wrestling was dominance, and I was like, why would I choose anything else except to focus on something that is not even dominant? Well, I should really focus on what's more dominant, and then just eventually the other things will come. So wrestling is the hardest. Jiu-jitsu is, I'd say, in the mid area that you can learn. I think it will come automatically. Then striking for me was a little bit harder to get, but I knew I could beat people with wrestling. So I focused a lot on wrestling and jits, plus competing a lot in jits before, so I can get my um, my experience in competition without getting hurt. So I can compete every 2 weeks, 2 weeks, for example. Every time I compete every 2 weeks if I want to, without me getting hurt. And then after grappling, those grappling tournaments, I transitioned to MMA in about a year and a half, I think. So yeah, I had about three grappling competitions, and then I went to MMA after that. So yeah, grappling, MMA, then grappled, boxed, and then I did wrestling was the end last one, and then did MMA again, and then wrestled again. And then now is MMA and jits in the same time, doing all those two together.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, again, it's something that's very cool about your journey in a sense that it's been quite a fast rise, from a certain perspective to get where you are now as well. So it's very cool to touch on that. Now, as well as this, for people who don't know, you're from Malta originally. So in terms of training and the jiu-jitsu and things over there, for people who don't know, maybe in the UK or other parts of Europe or whatever, or saying that, a lot of people in the US watch my stuff as well. What is the sort of talent pool and the everything like that in Malta when you started training? Is MMA, grappling, this type of thing, is it quite popular over there, or is it something that's sort of still growing at the moment for anyone who's sort of not in the know about this, you know?
Well, in my opinion, striking is the most in like it's very common in boxing. Boxing and kickboxing, they're both great. Loads of good coaches. I used to do with Steve Martin, but Guard Galea was my like personal training coach. He used to fight as well. He was very good. He was a champion once. Kickboxers, there's loads of good training um, gyms and all that. Team Noel, Multi-Thai Boxing, which I was with them as well, and many others. Jiu-Jitsu guys, yes, there's one called Arete. It's I've been with them at almost at the end of my time in Malta, but they were good. They're headed by two brothers, Belgian brothers, Thomas and David, black belt and a brown belt. They're very good. I grappled with them back when they came in, when I was with my old team, and I transitioned with them. They opened a new team, very nice gym as well. The level is high, and there's loads of brown belts, purple belts. They're very good. They compete in European Championships, Worlds as well. They got medals in there, so they're all good. Wrestling is amazing in my opinion. They have a few guys, but the few guys that they have, they're very, very, very good. I think they can. probably give even the British team a run for their money, to be honest. So it's not the guys that we have. They're not. We might be like 7 or 8 proper wrestlers, but then we're very good because we train non-stop, and the climate is hot as well. So we get tougher and tougher and tougher. Other than that, MMA itself, no, it's still very behind. The coach that I had was amazing, but he had to go back because he was from Britain. He was from London, so I had to go back and back in 2000 and, if I'm not mistaken, 14. So yeah, MMA in Malta is still low unless the wrestlers are not transitioned to MMA yet. The jiu-jitsu guys were, but then they went back to jiu-jitsu because it's not like a day job. So yeah, there's not much. There's no the guys that started MMA. They're not from anywhere. They're not from like boxing, or they didn't come from anywhere. So in my opinion, that's the most disadvantaged thing. There's no coaches that fought MMA. There's just people trying to teach something which is not. If you never fought in your life, you cannot teach, in my opinion. Or if you haven't trained under some high level guys, you cannot just teach people, in my opinion. But maybe we'll find somebody else in my country that there is an MMA, or people are telling me to go there after a few years and open my own gym and everything, which maybe, but there's gonna be a long time. Like that will maybe when I was 38, or well, when I'll be 38 or 40. But I'm not thinking about it right now. I'm thinking about more my career, then go to my country as a holiday to train with the lads, which I've done in the past. Every time I go to my country for a holiday, 2 weeks, I always train with my team. I'm never gonna just go to my country to just walk around everywhere. No, I'm just there to train as well. All my holidays is about training as well. Training and then eating whatever I want, see my family, see my friends, but train, give them some pointers that I might get and they might get, and we help each other in the same time. So yeah, still a little bit off in Malta as well in the MMA, but I think in the future we might have. I'm waiting for two, but one of them, especially in the wrestling department, if he transitions to MMA, I really would like him to be a superstar because he's very good at wrestling and he can transition to jiu-jitsu pretty well as well. All he needs to do is just striking a little bit, and that's it.
Yeah, well, thank you for a really thorough breakdown on that. It's very cool because for two reasons. First of all, obviously yourself personally, people see the success you're having now. They see, the championships and being on the road to more belts and this type of thing. But it's very inspiring for people to see sort of where you started and to hear about that. And also, on the other side of the coin, to raise a little bit of awareness of what's going on in Malta because I've heard about some of the wrestling and some of these things. Wasn't sure about the MMA, so you've clarified that, and there's definitely some untapped talent over there, 100%. So obviously, going back to you more personally as well, coming to the UK and leaving your country behind. Now, even though it's not strictly speaking a fighting question, I still think it's a very brave thing to do personally, because I'm guessing, you've come over here to sort of continue to pursue your dreams, better fighting opportunities, possibly, I'm not sure about the weather, leaving Malta behind. That's brave in a different way. But in terms of leaving your country to pursue your dream, can you share with us a little bit about what that process was like for you in terms of getting over here and adapting, and anything you'd like to share about your experiences with that, basically,
Yeah, of course. It started when in 2017 when I went to the US to train with AKA, and from that on, that was the most, in my opinion, experience that I was a bit scared of because I was traveling on my own for the first time. But I knew I had to do it because that was the first time I exposed myself to a big team, to the former for how professional fighters do, and that was a big eye opener. And they kept going it since 2019 to Thailand as well. But then I started realizing like I can't work in Thailand and America as well, so money is going and money is not coming in, and I always have to come back to work in my country as a desk job, which is absolutely a disaster in my opinion. But and I needed to. There was no fights as well in 2019. I couldn't fight anyone because I was 3-0. Nobody wanted to fight me, and apart from that, they said, well, you're in Malta, so we need to make you travel. So you're gonna cost us money, and 3-0 is not the most iconic record. Even though 3-0 is like you're in a hole where you destroyed everyone, but nobody would like to fight you, and nobody would pay for you to come because nobody knows who you are. So I had to choose a country, and I always liked the UK, especially where my coach came from the UK. So I said, oh well, there's a country I can work in, I can be there, and everything is good because it's the EU. Then obviously tried to see what gyms are best in the UK, and I said, well, Liverpool is good because they have good fighters in there. Next gym popped up. Contacted one of the guys that I fought against. He was from that gym. He said I'm good, and I contacted the coach as well, and they welcomed me with open arms. And yeah, it wasn't as hard because of the time I spent in the US, more than 2 months, 3 months, and then 2 months, 3 weeks, another 3 months, and then I went to the Thailand to do 4 months in there. So it was always I was I was always good by traveling and being alone. After the first few times I went to the US, it was always the same for me. Like it wasn't a big deal, especially going to UK where it's like an EU country, and UK is very similar to Malta is very similar to the UK. As we were colonized by them, we got so much things in common. So for me, it was, oh well, I've been to the UK before as a holiday. This is the first time I'm being in North. Obviously, the weather is absolutely a disaster from uh, difference from Malta. Obviously, Malta is hot, and British is everything cold and wet every time raining. So it wasn't January as well, worse. But yeah, it wasn't the hardest thing to do, and I knew it was gonna be forever. Like from the beginning, I knew immediately. I told my mom and dad, I was like, "This is gonna be it. I think 99% this is gonna be it. I'm gonna be living in the UK forever because you guys can come in and go for 100 quid. So can I for just 100 quid." And my dad loves Liverpool football club, so he'll come in and watch every time. Yeah, if there's a football thing, he'll come in. So I was like, "That's even better." And we're all close. So yeah, it wasn't that hard for me to come here in the Liverpool. And yeah, I'm looking forward to this is my home. Malta is my home, but this is my home now. Malta for me is a bit of a holiday thing, but I still obviously my origins is from Malta and I am Maltese. I'm not British, I am Maltese, so I'll never forget my hometown.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean it's a very cool story with that, to be honest. And again, for the purposes of inspiring people, how you took what a lot of people would regard as a big risk to pursue your dreams and everything like that. I think it's a very cool story, and it's something maybe people don't always touch on in these interviews. Now, a couple of other more sort of fighting specific questions. Obviously, winning the FCC title itself. Basically, I'd like to get your memories of that fight in terms of your favorite moments of the fight, and also like to just touch on basically what went through your mind when you did actually win it, in that moment, because that's something people don't necessarily see from the outside looking in. I mean, obviously they see how happy you are, but what went through your mind is for you. So just like to touch on that fight and what it means to you, basically.
Hmm. You mean where I when I got the first time the championship on the FCC, right? When I got the
Yeah,
championship, that's right.
that's the
Yeah.
one.
Oh yeah. Yusuf Shoaib, the first. Yeah, that's him. So yeah, that fight for me was I knew I was gonna fight him like on 4 weeks because I fought on August and then I was ready to fight in November. November came, nobody wanted to fight me on another organization. Then they offered me FCC championship, and I was like, yeah, obviously I would love to. I'm 4-1, so I would love to do that. Obviously, my opponent obviously was one. It was on the top 13, I think, or 13 or 14 ranked in the UK. I watched his highlights. He was fought and brave. So, for me, that he came back to FCC after even a win in Brave FC, for me, it was a little bit like, what's he doing? Why is he coming in this organization? Why does he want that belt? There must be a thing. There's a benefit from coming in, and obviously he's underestimating me as well for coming in. I'm a 3-1, 4-1 guy versus a 12-1. 12-2, and he only lost to John Vucenic, which was at that time the featherweight championship of Cage Warriors, and another top brave featherweight fighter, which was going for the belt as well. So yeah, it was a risky thing, but I always said, even in my camp, that I would like to fight guys that can actually push me high. So I want those big names. No, I had no idea who they were, but I said I want a big name that everybody knows who he is, and he's very dangerous. So I want that. And my coach got me. Obviously, my coach didn't tell me who it was, but he told me that you're gonna fight him, and he had confidence in me that I'm gonna win. And obviously, when I saw the him fighting for the first time, my mate gave me his name and he told me about him. Try to describe him as hard as you can, and then I watched all his fights. Certainly wasn't the best like experience watching everybody getting knocked out or elbowed and all that. So for me, I was like, wow, I'm finally finding someone that is very, very recognized and he's all rounded, not just one thing. For me, this is good. And I said to myself, well, I'm fighting for the championship. I'm not fighting for just a fight. I'm fighting for a championship. So for me, fighting for a championship means I'm gonna fight a guy that is highly ranked more than me. It has to make sense. Did my best in training camp. Had a bad weight cut and I burnt part of my knee, which was bad. Which was bad. I took, like, in the videos, if anybody would see it, there's a part of my leg, my knee is missing. I was literally red, no skin on, no bleeding, but it was just skin off. Went there, did my best. I said, you know what, I know that my 100% I can beat him properly, but because my weight cut was absolutely, well, my weight cut got a little bit of a my problem. I did, I think. It was harder. I think my cardio is going to be a little bit lower than I usually do, which are high pace. So I said I have to pace myself, and instead of being me, use my IQ instead to beat him technically and literally get him burst in the first few rounds and then just get him into a position, get him on the ground and destroy him. His takedown defense was pretty good. He was he was just looking at the ref to get separate us, but I kind of kept it there. I knew if I'm in a good position, he needs to move, and I said, well, if you don't move, I'm gonna take you down again. So, and keep you there and get you tired, and he did, and I managed to win. In my opinion, I won 2 rounds, and he won the last round by a bit because I controlled him for 3.5 minutes, and he only controlled me for the last minute, and that's it. Um, Other than that, for me, it was the best experience, obviously, because I beat someone that is higher. And when I saw how much the people that were saying, "Oh, I'm gonna win," I was like 99% I was gonna get knocked out, and 1% I was gonna be by decision. And I proved everyone wrong. It wasn't, in my opinion, they say it was a boring fight, which true, it wasn't the most spectacular. If you watch all my fights, that's the least spectacular one of all of them. But you have to recognize that I wasn't 100% in that fight. Like, everybody see that they knew, and even at 100%, not even 100%, I still beat a tougher guy than I am, a top guy, not tougher. And I showed that he can't do what he did to the others, the top guys in Brave and everything towards me. He couldn't do it, even though I was ranked 30, 40th or something. People underestimate me because they don't know who I am. At the end of the day, they'll know not by watching me, but what they feel. I said to everybody that at the end of the day, people might watch my wrestling and say that's not at my ground game. It's very easy. It's very basic. What he's doing is very basic and nothing super spectacular. He's just doing pressure and all that. But when you get towards there and you clinch with me and I grapple your legs and I have, if I grab your leg, you'll understand it's not easy to get away from me as people say, oh, I can do this. I can just push my leg out and run away. Not really. You're not gonna do that. If I grab your leg, you're gonna go down. And if you don't go down for the first one, you're gonna go down the second one. If you keep going, you're gonna get tired. Drag you down. Once you're tired, I'll up my cardio. Literally, I'll go full on 100%, and I'll literally be get you defense. All they do is they just protect themselves, and they'll never want to quit. They just don't want to quit, but they say, well, they don't want to submit to me or get ground upon us. So all they're doing is just standing there, getting hit a bit, moving a bit, but not even trying to get up. Because every time I try to get up, I'll put them down again, and that's all they did. That's why some people were commenting on that fight and saying it was a boring fight. But I said, well, if it's my fault, why is so I had the good position and he just stood there looking at the referee, trying to break my grip and looking at the referee saying, can you just disengage us, please? Like, this is MMA, man. If you want to box only or kickbox or knock me out, then why don't we just have a boxing match and you can knock me out instead of learn how to wrestle, which is the easiest break grip and everything you can do, hit the switch or anything. Instead, he didn't do none of them. He just stood there, and I was like, is this the highest level those guys can do? That's insane. If you can't do this, then why are you in this sport in the first time? I got my ass beat most of the time by high level wrestlers and some good wrestlers in the US. And I was like, they're high level. These are high level strikers, but they're not high level MMA fighters by all means. His grappling wasn't that great, so I was like, well, he's a very good fighter and a top name. But if I'm 100%, I would absolutely beat the hell out of you. There's no way this fight was going to be like that. I would win 1, 2, and 3 rounds convincingly, properly. But yeah, in that fight, that was the best moment of my life. And then that was on the 19th of December. And then on the 26th of December, that the knee that was burnt off, I went to the hospital on the 26th and they had to do a surgery on the 27th. No, on the 27th, they had to do a surgery on it. They did two surgeries. They did one on the 27th, that failed, and then they did another one on the 3rd of January. Left the hospital on the 7th and started training my upper body on the 9th. No, on the 8th, sorry, the next day, yeah. The next day I went to the gym to start training my upper body because I didn't want to just stand there, but I couldn't move my leg because they removed my skin, the whole skin on my knee. They removed it. They didn't touch any ligaments or knee. They pulled the skin from the end part because it was this big as a whole. They grabbed the whole part, they pulled it together, and they stitched it. So I couldn't even move my knee down and up, nothing at all. It was straight. After a month of training my upper body, then I started skipping. And I started doing MMA, and then I fought for the defending my belt again. And after that, I got my call.
Wow. It's an amazing story in terms of obviously the fight itself, but the inside track on some of the things you went through behind the scenes, some of the things you went through in your mind and in your heart. And as I said already before, the things that people don't always see from the outside looking in. So it's a very, very cool insight. Now, as we move into the sort of latter phase of this, a couple of other topics here. Obviously, one of the things that really comes over when you're talking is about the strong mind that you have, because to do what you do, you have to have a strong mind, you have to have an iron will, as well as having a strong body. And as we've been talking about this, you've touched on the wrestling and the jiu-jitsu and the striking, obviously the different components. But when it comes to developing like a rock solid, bulletproof belief in yourself and what you're going to do, I'd like to talk about how you do that basically, because a lot of people talk about, visualization, and people talk about these different things that they do as techniques, as mental processes. But for yourself personally, to believe in yourself enough to do everything you're doing, to win titles, to go overseas to different countries and train with the best, and all of these types of things, people look at it and say, okay, yeah, that's what he does. But then if we push deeper into that in terms of how you do that sort of up here, again, like I said before, the purpose of this is for the inspiration, is for people to pick up some tips and things that hopefully they can use in their own lives, whether they're fighting or whether they're doing something else. It still applies to that. So yeah, in terms of your mental process, especially on the build up to a big fight, how do you do that? How do you condition yourself in that way?
Well, a little bit of a trip to the past where this kind of originated. I'd say this is the main thing I think that pushes my mental ways how I am. I honestly, when I was young, I used to be bullied, so that transformed me into this. I'd say it's one of the main things that pushed me to doing this in a good way. But my opinion, the best thing is that drives me to do things that people maybe are scared to do, and I don't really care what it is. Like sometimes instead of scaring me, it scares me to be honest. It that's I think that's the benefit. I think that you feel something, that you feel that this is a if it scares you, that means it's a big thing. It's not an easy thing. If it's an easy thing, you just let your guard down and say, "Oh well, I'll do it. I'll just do it." And then if something's happened, it might it might be worse. So you're afraid of it. You know what can happen wrong. So use that and say, okay, but this can go wrong, right? Okay, that's not that bad. The worst thing that can happen is this. That's not the, and then you'll realize, like, listen, it's not that bad. You're not gonna die. You're not gonna. What's the losing a fight, for example? This is the thing, right? Losing a fight. In my opinion, losing a fight means is we're not afraid. In my opinion, fighters are not afraid of getting injured, especially when you're there. You're not afraid of injury. I'm not. I don't think about injury. If you black eye, who cares? I mean, I don't know. Knocked out, not really. My mind that's never in my head. The only thing that we're afraid of, in my opinion, is more about losing. So it's more of an ego thing. I'd say. I would say it's ego for myself because losing for me is just I've trained all this, I've sacrificed everything that I have, I've done all this, and I just lost to a guy. I just lost to a person. When I because I dedicate my life to this sport, I don't want to lose to another person. I never want to say that anybody is better than me. I might know who is better than me, but if I'm fighting against someone, that guy doesn't. At the end of the day, he's flesh and blood like I am. So nothing really different, nothing more better. If I train harder, I should be better. If I go in that night and not give up and do my best, I should be better than him. So mentally, you always should have to be listen. What do I have to lose? Reality is nothing. If you fail, you can still redo it again. You can still come back and do it again. All you need to do though is keep focusing on the right things. If you usually they always used to say, which is true, you learn more from losses rather than wins, which it is true, but not at the extent of what they say. I do not believe um the feeling of losing, in my opinion, in my experience, in my opinion, when I lost once, it was like I lost every single thing that I had. The everybody's gonna think different of me. I lost. I'm not like the perfect 6-0 record or whatever. It can never be redone. Um so I always say this. When you say you learn by losing, yeah, okay, but do not lose in the fight, lose in the training sessions. Training sessions are there to that's how you learn from mistakes. When you're doing a training camp and you lose a round or you get submitted or you lost the positions and all that, how did that why did I lose them? That's the the time to learn. Not when you're in a fight. When you're in a fight and you lose, you in my opinion, they say that just to calm you down. In reality, it think about it when you're literally when you right now when we're talking normal, it doesn't make sense to me whatsoever. You'll learn it the hard way, true. But is it better to learn it the right way where you're in training camp, you lose, nobody cares, you get better and you fight and you're winning nonstop? Or is it good to just get in the fight, lose it, learn, and then you might come back, which I did from my only loss. But still, if I had to go back, I prefer that I haven't lost that fight. I prefer that I would have won that fight. A perfect record of 7-0. But it's not. But I think my mental thing is all from the bullying side. I got bullied all the time and still kept coming back, still kept doing it. And every time somebody says to me, which is this is the main thing, I'd say, when somebody is bullying you or saying you cannot do it, use that to challenge them. The very that should always be a motivator. The cheers are a motivator, but it's better. in my opinion, it's harder to disappoint my fans. I really hate disappointing my fans, my family, my friends, my all the people that care about me. I hate disappointing them, but I absolutely love destroying doubters. That for me, that's so motivational because it's people are not bullying you really because they can't do anything. Even when they bully you, they cannot do anything to you. They're just some people cheer their fighter by bullying the other guy, which is not right in my opinion. And my fans, I always say cheer me, but do not bully the other guy. He doesn't deserve it unless we have a common beef. If we're just fighting each other, I will let you cheer me, but do not boo him. He doesn't deserve that. But use the boos against you to say what after you beat him. Say what now? Are you still bullying me? Are you cheering me? I don't need you. And like the more you actually booed me, the more it went against your guy. So use that to use the negative to fuel yourself. I love that. I love the negative. I think negative is more better because I can choose to destroy people. I have the last laugh. They'll laugh first. I'll laugh at the end, and they're going home crying, and I'm going home celebrating with all my loved ones and my friends and everything. And I'm happy that I won. So yeah.
So very powerful answer, to be honest with you, champ. It's very powerful. I love your passion for everything you shared there. There's a lot of different lessons actually contained in what you said there, sort of condensed. So it's very, very powerful. And again, as I keep saying, it shows people behind the scenes. It shows people what you come from. And not to state the obvious here, but obviously what one person can do, another person can do. So if you can overcome the bullying and some of these things that were going on, obviously it shows our listeners that they can do the same thing and everything like that. So it's a very, very powerful thing. So we will wrap this up shortly for for the sake of time. So before we do, one of the last things is obviously because we talked about the future first, so we've talked about that. So I'd like to just give a mention to people who've helped you along the way that you would like to thank. Now, with this, we've mentioned a couple of people. Obviously, you've mentioned different coaches and you've mentioned a few people, but just to check if there's anyone else who's helped you, whether it be sponsors or even in a way, people encouraging you. Like I know you were saying about the booze there on one side, but then it is people cheering for you to win on the other side. So, maybe that helps you. Basically what I'm saying, I don't mind which form the support comes in, but just the people you'd like to thank really who've contributed to your journey and everything.
Well, I'd like to thank first of all my first ever because he was my first ever coach. We're still in contact, Ed Smith. Thank you very much, because you were the first ever guy to believe in me. Obviously, the real people for me is my family, my mom and dad. They believed in me. My whole family believed in me. My mom and dad believed in me first, so um, they let me start this, and they every time they come with me to watch my fights. My grandfather as well. So thanks to them. Thanks to my best friend, my first ever training partner, and every time I go back home, I always see him, Stephen Swain. Um, he and his wife, Marguerite, as well. They always help me. They've always been there. They've always chatted with me every time. Every time I have to this day, every day we speak on chat. They're in Malta and I'm here in the UK, but we always speak to each other. So we have a banter every time. But they checked on me every time I was doing the weigh-ins. They checked on me before the fight, after the fight, every time. We speak every day. So they're very nice to me to connect with them again. Um, Thanks to Gard Gale as well. I wish he could come and watch my fight, but he can't. But he said something that he always wants to be part of my the beginning. And for me, he wasn't only a part of the beginning. It was a big, huge step for me because he was the first ever guy to believe in me in the boxing. Thanks to Steve Martin as well for helping me out and welcome me every time. Malta Thai Boxing in Malta, they're always welcome me. He always welcomes me. The Jiu-Jitsu team, Arete, they're the best ever in Malta and very good in the world as well. Tomas and David, amazing success in the sport as well. And for me, Jiu-Jitsu became better when they came to Malta and they made it bigger. They're having huge classes, so I always recommend every Maltese, or if you're a foreigner and going to Malta, please go to Arete. Visit that gym. It's very good. It's high level. Every time I go to Malta to visit, I'm always training. They're gi and no gi both. I always love to train with them. They have some good stuff, good coaches, good team, everything. Other than the wrestling team in Malta, as always, I appreciate you all the time. Every time I go there as well, I visit them as well in the wrestling team. Wish you all the best and hope when you compete you always win and hope to see you again in the UK when you ever guys come here. Please let me know and I want to meet you all and maybe come to teach wrestling sometimes around here in next gen. Want to start thanking my coaches around here. The whole team in next gen, every one of you guys, thank you very much. Obviously my coaches, Paul, Ellis, you guys, we might have our sometimes we might have our own ways, but um I always appreciate you always both of you always training me and doing your best and showing me new tricks. And seeing that I'm working hard, thank you so much. Um Thanks to the unit, the gym that I train, strength and conditioning as well. Well, I thank them. Adam, everything, thank you for letting me use your facility as always and being supportive as well for me and sometimes calming me down when I'm having some moments as well. Um, who else? My obviously, all of my sponsors. Feel Supreme. Thank you very much for the latest thing. Good to go as well. Phil Green from Infinity Nutrition. He's always my mate. He's my personal mate. He's been my mate since 2020, since I came here. So thanks to him for always helping me out, both in personal life and in the way that he helps me with the supplements and all that. What else there? There's so many more, man. The Maltese sponsors as well. Um, it's a good thing that you guys believe in me, even though I'm not living in Malta, which is it's a big thing. But the only thing I would like to say to Maltese people is that I promise I'm doing my best to put Malta on the map, which I kind of did, but it's not enough. For me, it's not enough. What I've done, I want to do more, and hopefully one day that I'll make Malta proud and show them that we all can. If you want to be the best in the world, we all can. We're good as the Americans or the Russians, whatever we are. If we train hard, we can do it. Every time we train, we might not have the best training methods, but we do our best and we know we have the will to train. So if I can do it, which I'm nothing special, so can all of you guys do. All you need to do though is do very something similar to me, but never give up on your dreams. Don't let anybody else tell you you can't do this, you can't do that. They tell you that because they can't do it and they gave up already. So they want you to be same as them or less. Don't do that. Be better than everybody else. That's why I'm more successful than the rest of them because I found people that actually helped me and gave me courage and the people that actually said, no, well, you don't think you can do it, it's all in their face. And the one that actually believed in me and saw my true potential, they believed in me and they helped me out. So I might not be anyone to you, but I'm just trying to be your friend and tell you, you all can do the same thing that I did, or even better. I'd say everybody can do better than me if they can just try. Everybody can do better. I'm trying to do the best in the world, but so can you guys. So one day you might be better than me, which I am hoping one day in the future will be. But thank you a lot anyway. I think I've covered everybody up from there. Thanks.
Well, it's great to give them a mention because there's so many people who contribute to people's lives, and people see your success, but people don't always see those other people that are behind the scenes and helping. So great to give them the credit they deserve, especially when there's a lot of people giving help and, not expecting a lot back in terms of the fact that they're helping you to push you to be great. And obviously they get that back, but, they're not just doing it for money, they're doing it because they believe in you and everything. So it's a very special thing. The motivation, absolutely top notch. Thank you very much. And with that, you know, champ, I'd like to say thank you for your time. And this interview, I knew it would be good, but it's been really good because we've got like the fun fight stories and some of the mix of things there, but we've also got like the motivation and the deeper stuff as well. So we've got like the entertainment and the sort of education, if you like. So really nice mix of topics there. I'll say to our audience, keep an eye on this man. Very big things on the horizon as well, especially for anyone who's hearing about you for the first time through this interview as well, because there'll be a mix of people who know you and people who are just finding out about you through this as well. So for anyone who's just finding out, keep your eyes peeled. But other than that, champ, thank you for taking time out of your day, and thank you for, as I always say, thank you for being an open book and sharing everything, you know, with the audience today. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to open up to everybody. So hope somebody gets motivated or something and find this helpful. Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe to the Simply Inspired YouTube channel, and there'll be more videos coming soon.